Hello and welcome back, Disney Lorcana enthusiasts. We had an incredible Stitch day, which, spoilers, guys, spoilers for the spoilers. There's a new Stitch. We're going to break him down too, because Experiment 626 deserves to be broken down all in good time. But once again, welcome back. I'm here to give you the SWOT analysis breakdown. And of course, as always, we're here. We're doing Disney Lorcana trading card game coverage. That is what it's all about on the Forbidden Mountain. What is the SWOT analysis? Once again, been doing a couple videos like this now. Put the flashcard up there so you can kind of get a brief look, reminder of it in case you are new. SWOT analysis for today's cards: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat are the angles in which we are kind of rating these cards as we go through the game. So first and foremost, what is our number one? It is everybody's favorite reindeer, Sven. This is a pretty straightforward character, 6 cost inkable character with 5 strength and 7 willpower with 1 lore. So let's talk about him. He is the official ice deliverer, as course. I mean, hello, of course he is. Let's be real here, guys. It'd be crazy if he wasn't, right? But strengths: good strength and willpower. Stats are pretty good for 6 cost cards. Weakness: 1 lore for 6 cost and no ability. Obviously, this is not the most appealing or enticing card all around. Can't be much more be said about it, to be completely honest. But his opportunity is, because of his strength and willpower, the ability to trade with multiple higher costed cards. I mean, 7 willpower is a lot. 5 strength is a really good amount. It does, a really fair job at taking out some of the better cards in the game. I mean, this talk about a character here that can get rid of a Aladdin and a Robin Hood, and he can create those trades for you. So if you can utilize him with a pocket watch or something like that, well, he might be able to kind of really turn the tide in ways that your opponent is just not really expecting. So there is some opportunity cost for the character in general. But nonetheless, of course, the threats are your normal removal actions cost less than Sven. So him being a 6, if you just play him out on 6, then cards like Dragonfire, cards like Let It Go, very easily just kind of get rid of them. But really, that's all that kind of gets rid of him. There are some other 1-for-1 trade cards, like Zimba as an example, but realistically, he's a pretty hefty boy for his cost against almost every other character he's going against. Obviously, a card like Scar could threaten the card as well, so there is a bit of a way to get around it, but trading bad 6-drops for bad 6-drops are maybe not the world that we're kind of living in. So nonetheless, let's go on to card number 2. As we approach it, we bring it up, and yeah, listen, first things first, the art on this card is unbelievable. I mean, let's bring this up to full screen so you guys, I mean, look at this. The ability that she just, letting her hair down is such a perfect thing. I want to touch on the fact that it's a Dreamborn character, which we still don't fully understand what it means, but through some other forms of media that you guys can find, an approach of other content creators like covering these things like Dreamborn and the arts and all these different stories about the flavor text and things like that. Like, this card is Lorcana at its finest, and the art really truly represents it. And I'm so excited to find out more about this particular card in general. But let's break into it. Let's talk about the wonderful Rapunzel letting her hair down. She is a 6 cost uninkable card with 5 strength, 4 willpower, and 2 lore. And then she has the ability, which is Tangle. When you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. So let's break down the SWOT first, and then I'll go into a little bit more of a thought that I have personally for this card. So the strength is great art, of course. Good ability and 2 lore. All good things that you kind of want out of your 6 cost cards. Its weakness is, unfortunately, it is uninkable, right? Being uninkable, there's a typo, guys. That says unthinkable. It's uninkable. Excuse me, very sorry, but it's uninkable. Low willpower as well. So like that 4 low power at 6 cost is definitely on the lower end and not so great. We'll get back to that in a minute. But the opportunity for the card is pretty high, which it creates friction in the end game by altering lore counts. It also is a really great pairing with Aladdin and a lot of lore disruption. Princess synergy as well. She is a princess and only currently with Moana, but nonetheless, there could be more of that to come. And lastly, the threats is it trades so very poorly with almost every 4-cost character. And that's like the big downer here is that we're paying 6. We have an uninkable card. Yes, having 2 lore is great. Technically, you're you're almost immediately a net 3 lore because at the very least you can on average you're gonna be able to turn her sideways, get your 2 lore, and you're also gonna be able to not steal lore, but take a lore away from your opponent, which is it's imperative. And really what I like about the ability Tangled is it sets the precedent for it in the game. Currently, we don't have a lot of precedent other than Aladdin, the 7-cost Ruby Aladdin, that sets this precedent of ways to disrupt your opponent's lore count. So what I love specifically about Rapunzel is that she does this. She creates this ability to interact with lore. And I think that's really important. It's really something to be built on. And it's clearly something that Ravensburger is considering to be a powerful ability because she is uninkable because she has the ability Tangled. Everything else about her screams that she should be inkable. But they must truly believe that that ability to remove a lore from your opponent is worth the card not being able to be inked. If this card was an inkable card, I think it would be a 4 of in every single Ruby deck. And that's where I am with this card. I think it's a very, very solid card, but it's going to get put into this, this package of uninkable Ruby cards that you have to compare with. And when we get the full set, it's going to be really hard to, truly find room for her in your deck in certain matches already, because you already know you're going to go in, you're going to need like 4 Dragonspires and plenty of other really playable options. So that's her biggest fault right now, is the uninkable on her is definitely going to weigh her down and be an anchor for sure. So let's get into the final card of the video. So we have Stitch, Careless Surfer. Once again, I mean, seriously, like just this art is A+, right? Like everything about this is going on. It's another wonderful piece of art that I'm very, very much looking forward to the Lumineers breaking this down. I know they covered it already on Twitter. I mean, it was the art's really, really incredible, guys. Seriously, shout out to all of this. The artist is phenomenal, and I can't say enough about the art that was released on the cards today. But Stitch Careless Surfer is a 7-cost inkable character, 4 strength, 8 willpower, and 2 lore. We're going to bring him up into full mode, give you the full picture here. His strength is he has 8 willpower. I mean, that's gigantic. Additional draw power for Amber, and allows you to refill your hand for a final push, assuming you have the right board states. He does, I missed this earlier, his ability is Ohana, is when you play this character, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, you may draw 2 cards. So you do need to be in this game state where you still have board presence, and this card is adding to your board presence and helping you recoup some of that. Obviously, as we'll continue here, we'll find ways to utilize that, but he does require you to kind of like, in a way, be ahead. And like, I think that's really important, is that like this card might really potentially look closer to win more than like comeback card. And that's really difficult to decide when you need those cards and when they're necessary. So it's just something that we'll have to like go through as we continue to play the card. The weaknesses, it requires you to either be ahead or your opponents to leave your other characters alone. And the other additional to that is that 4 strength for a 7 cost is very low. And the last little portion about this worrisome card is that it is a legendary. So it might not be entirely accessible to all players at the start of the game. So if this is, and this ends up being a particularly great card and a necessary card, then it could be a weakness of the card in general, because might just be hard to obtain and cost you a pretty penny in the end. Now, the opportunity for the card, which is particularly one of my favorites, is the pairs really, really well with characters with evasive. It's a backup draw alternative type card from Rockstar Stitch. It has a really good Lantern payoff card, which is something that we've been kind of really looking for. Lantern has definitely been a card that like looks really good on paper, but needs a little more accessibility. This card definitely fits the role. And of course, it's a good combo with Hades, which is the 4-cost card that brings you back a character. So this kind of just helps you fuels into it. On turn 6, you might be able to just be like Hades plus 2-drop, put my 2 guys into play, pass. They can't be attacked, so your opponent would have to have direct removal spells to get rid of them. And if they don't, then you can follow up with your Careful Surfer here, draw 2 more cards, get back into the game, and have some board presence, which is all great. The threats, of course, is removal. As always, any type of removal leading up to Stitch is a problem. And, of course, himself costing 7, not really having an impactful ability unless you have the cards in play. And then, of course, afterwards, he's only a 2 lore, but, if they want to play Let It Go or play Dragon's Fire, it just very easily gets rid of him for even way less than what he costs in most situations. We have yet to see an AoE, and for all of our more casual watchers here, area of effect. I'll put one on the screen here. It's called Wrath of God from Magic the Gathering, which basically means it gets rid of all characters in play, or a card like Pyroclasm, which does 2 damage to all cards in play. This is a very, familiar thing for other card games to have these AoE effects. We have not yet to see one in Lorcana, but a card like that would definitely hinder Careful Surfer from being, a truly next level card in the game in general. So it's definitely something to be weary of, and it's absolutely a threat, to the card in general. And then the last, of course, is, can you afford to pay 7 for a character who cannot affect the board until a turn later? There are other comparable cards to this, right? Like if we look at 7-cost Aladdin from Ruby, where it's like, yes, you're paying 7 for a 5/5, but his ability to really turn games around is second to none in the game. It's one of the most powerful abilities in the game. So can you compare Stitch, who, when he comes into play, if you're have a board presence still, he gets you to draw 2 cards, like, can that really compare and be on par with a card like Aladdin? It's really hard to say. And there's other 7 costs that really are kind of on the same line here of like, how do they really compare and how do they compete with some of the other things? And granted, maybe it can't, and that's fine. But all in all, the card I think it's a really interesting card. Similar to Beast, I think it will be situationally good. I think there will be decks that do like this card. I don't think it'll be like an every Amber deck card, more than likely, though. So those are my biggest takeaways. Of course, of the 3, in general, I think it's like really close. I'm not really sure that any of these cards will end up being mainstays in a given deck. I do think they each have their moments and their potential to be really playable cards. I definitely think Sven looks like a lock for the starter deck. It's possible that you also see Rapunzel in the starter deck, but Stitch definitely not the starter deck if we're being honest. But all in all, more on that to come in our in our upcoming finance video. Of course, if this is your first time here at the Forbidden Mountain, as always, we do a contest with every one of our videos as we approach all the way to 1,000 subscribers. Every time we hit a new bubble, a 100 subscriber bubble, which we're coming up on, I think we're currently in the 160 range, about 40 away from 200. We're going to take a comment from every single video that I prompt you or that we prompt you for a comment, which in this comment, what I want to know is, really simple. Which one of these 3 cards revealed today do you like the most and do you think is the most competitive? Rapunzel, Stitch, or Sven? Do you believe any of these cards have a shot? And if you don't, tell me why you don't think any of them are. So give me a good answer in the comments. Let me know how you feel about these cards in general. As always, if you're not, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. Here is the next video right here, right there, right here, right there. I'm not even sure where it is, guys. Let's be honest. But another video for you guys to check out on other card analysis, or if you're there, check whatever you guys out. Thank you for hanging so much. Enjoy the next video, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.